Hey everyone, this is Randy from Aquarium Co-op, and Corey and I are on day one of our trip to Florida. We're in the Fort Lauderdale area, and this gentleman right before me is Brandon McLean, owner of Florida Aquatic Nurseries. So, hey Brandon, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming down to visit us this week.
Yeah, and Brandon, a little bit about yourself. So, Corey and I, we just spent probably an hour and a half, 2 hours meeting with Brandon, touring around the facility, and so now we're going to go back through and actually film some really cool stuff. But your background, though, you're not like just a business owner. Like you actually have a deep education, a deep experience in this. So, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up. This is a family business. My grandfather started it. My father bought it from him with his brother and ran it, and then bought his brother out, and then I bought it from my father 5 years ago. But before that, I went to the University of Florida and graduated with a degree in landscape and nursery management. And then from there, I went on to manage a retail nursery up in the Atlanta area. Worked there for several years, and then moved back to Fort Lauderdale. I got married with my wife at the point, and then came back to work here at Florida Aquatic, and been here for the past 20 or so years.
And I think what is awesome is that just like I get so impressed anytime I'm with somebody that, let's say, we're on a fish collecting trip or just looking at fish in general, and they're able to rattle off the scientific names. Brandon is able to do that with these aquarium plants or with any, even the lilies as well. Like his knowledge, like it just flows from him, and he's even able to say, "Oh, I think this one's this," but they might have reclassified it. So Brandon is keeping up with the naming conventions and are there any new species that are maybe newly discovered or have newly been imported that are then available to be grown and sold to American hobbyists? And one thing that we've learned though is that not every plant is going to be suited. Like just because it can grow underwater doesn't mean you necessarily want to grow it underwater for the purposes of of an aquarium.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we learn so much about plants every day out here. It's just fun to try to figure out each one and find out what its nuances are and how it wants to grow.
All right, so we are in, I don't know, we'll call this kind of like greenhouse room one, if you will, and it is December 2nd today, right?
Yeah.
Which is so basically we're here in the cooler part of the year or time of the year for Florida, but it's still a little bit warm though for somebody that's from like Kentucky or Corey, coming from the Seattle area. So it's a little bit warm in the greenhouse, but it's not unbearable. But hey, it actually just snowed in Kentucky, so I missed the snow. I'm bummed about that, but I'm also not sad to be somewhere where it's warm and I'm back in shorts. So you'll see behind Brandon right now that we are in Amazon sword land here. And if you want to give an overview of kind of what we're looking at here, as
Sure.
far as kind of how things are grown, how they're propagated, what's just the method of growing in here?
Great. So, one of the fun things to talk about first is each table you're looking at is about 13,000 plants. They're all growing, and this is a hydroponic recirculating system. They're planted in trays with peat, and that's used to help them root in and give them some stability and help them absorb the nutrients. They're all in different size stages. We sell different size stages, but it also takes the plants time to grow. In the middle of the summer, you can get what we sell as a medium sword in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 inches, and that takes you about 8 weeks.
Mhm. And so for Aquarium Co-op, we prefer to have plants that are a little bit on the shorter side. It makes it easier for shipping. And it's also less material to get damaged. So it's not that we don't want somebody to get this big, beautiful plant, but there is a certain limitation when you're shipping e-commerce that things are obviously way more expensive as a box gets longer. But then there's just more plant material there to get damaged, and we don't want to have a negative customer experience. And if I kind of pan up over here, and I'll even walk to this table, you can see some size differences. Well, when you go into a retail store, you can expect to see plants that are considerably larger than what an online seller would have. But looking at these though, these are all very vibrant, lush, beautiful looking Amazon swords. So this is something pretty cool to walk into the green room, or I'm sorry, the greenhouse, and this is kind of the first thing that you see. And right now, the recirculating water system is on that side of the greenhouse. We're over here because the ventilation fans are on that side as well, so it's a little bit louder. And then you actually get this breeze that goes through the greenhouse. And so while we've been stopping and talking, discussing different plants, I'll stand right here because that breeze is pretty nice. So anything else about these tables, or should we start looking at
let's
Just different
start.
species.
Yeah, let's start looking at some new
Okay.
plants. Yeah.
All right. So what's neat about coming out is one, we get to talk with
Yeah.
Brandon again. Last time I was here was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But seeing what new plants he has, this time having Corey with me. Corey has a very good discerning eye on what plants he thinks will do well. He likes to call it the grandma test, right? Does a plant look different enough from what we currently carry so a grandma that's not in the hobby would be able to tell, oh yeah, that's a different plant. So Brandon, you're calling this miracle sword, right?
Yeah, Pink Miracle is the name on it, and you can see where it gets the pink from. New leaves are very kind of reddish pink to start. Reminds me a little bit of the Oriental sword for those of you that are familiar, but the coloring is more of a reddish pink, more color to it than the Oriental sword.
I would say from a distance, I actually thought this was going to be a table of Crypt pink flamingo. So it has that very light, very fine pink. And I think this is one that we might actually try out on the website. So yeah, we'll see if hopefully Florida Aquatic Nursery will be able to grow enough of this sword for us, which I think they're up for it.
Yeah.
So one fun thing about filming in here is that these are very, very long rows. So I was just over there by the miracle sword or sword. What do we call it? Pink miracle?
Pink Miracle, yeah.
So by pink miracle, but I was on the opposite side. And now we want to talk about frogbit and redroot floaters, but I have to go all the way out and back down these narrow aisles.
Yeah, each table is roughly 5 by 100 feet. So looking at 500 square feet of grow space.
You're going to get your steps in.
We do every day. Amazon fogbit, one of those fun kind of newer floating plants. Real small leaves, a lot different from the regular frogbit in that it stays on the smaller side. Produces off of runners, so you can see that they all clump together there. Decent root system to it, and real spongy leaves, just like its cousins. So it'll float on the surface real nice of any tank.
Yeah, and this one and redroot floaters are ones that we don't carry the floating plants online, but we're going to take a crack at how do we put the aquarium co-op spin and make sure that we are shipping you something that is going to do well in your home aquarium. So we have some ideas, and so maybe look over the next couple months to see when redroot floaters and frogbit are going to hit our website.
So redroot floater, right? Known for its beautiful red color. Well, it's green. What's wrong with it? It's the right plant. Don't worry. But in order for us to grow it, we have to grow it in a shaded environment here in Florida. Otherwise, it's not happy at all. So will be green when you get it, but since it's going to be on the top of your aquarium with your light right there, you're going to see it color up in a hurry. You'll get a mass of it in your cup. You see the roots are starting to grow. And again, they don't have that beautiful color and those bigger floating leaves it's known for, but that'll develop in a short time. This will just ship a whole lot better for you. It's a lot hardier.
And we didn't cover it in the very beginning, but you are the largest supplier of aquarium plants in the United States.
Correct. Yeah, we are, and we have been for quite some time. We've been in business now almost 70 years. And again, that's because my grandfather started it and my father worked really hard and, turned it into what it is today. And now I'm just continuing on.
Yeah. And so this is a fun area. So we're in Anubias land. And you want to tell us how we grow the Anubias?
Yeah, so the Anubias, we grow in several different ways, but behind us here, we're growing them in soil tables. Let's walk down just a little bit so we get away from that fan. We're growing them in soil tables here and letting the rhizome spread. This is Anubias nana, and I know it's on the taller side, but when you grow it immerse, there's several different varieties of Anubias nana too, but when you grow it immerse, it's as happy and as big as Anubias will ever get. And then this on right is Anubias barteri roundleaf. They're both in soil tables. And then what we do with these is we take cuttings from the rhizome and sell them as bare root plants.
So yeah, this is all coppifolia in here. And the texture on the leaves is phenomenal. You get the, you kind of get that one coffee colored leaf per rhizome. Just a really, really cool Anubias plant. All right, so this is Azolla. And you guys don't sell Azolla, right?
We do actually sell Azolla.
So they do sell Azolla, and I have just been enamored with this. The water beads up on top. I don't know how well that's going to come in on camera, but the texture on these leaves, super cool. This is one of those things that, I don't know, I just feel like it's there, it's present in fish farms, it's present in plant farms, but I get a kick out of it. Like I don't know, I love just picking this stuff up and playing with it. So very cool. Just one of those little side bonuses when you do these kinds of tours. In addition to aquarium plants, you guys also do pond lilies.
You do.
And you've won some awards for pond lilies, right?
We have. We've hybridized over 30 different varieties on our own. And probably in the neighborhood of at least 15 of them have been different award winners, some winning, best new water lily of the year. So we've been very fortunate in the hybridizing arena. These are all tropical water lilies that you're looking at, which means that you treat them like annuals if you live up north. They're only going to work for you in the summertime. But down here in South Florida, we can grow them all year round, especially in a heated greenhouse that you see behind me.
And the leaves on this guy, super cool.
That's Lindsay Woods, nice purple flower. Neat story behind it, but it was hybridized from a guy in Texas, and he named it Lindsay Woods after a girl that had cancer and donated money back to the Cancer Society to help with costs.
Oh, wow. These leaves remind me of a Pac-Man frog. Those are awesome. More beautiful purple flowers. Yeah, I know next to nothing about pond plants, but I do know that these are awesome. And if I had a pond, I would love to have a bunch of these in them.
Well, you'd know where to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, just to show proof of life, let's see if I can zoom in without making this too shaky. There he is right there. We're at 200 on the zoom. That's the big corn dog. He's taking still photos for our visit.
So you wanted to look at some mother plants. These are big Echinodorus plants that we keep for our in-house production. In front of us is red flame. They're really neat. The Echinodorus are really nice to us, and they come up and have their babies right on a stem, easy to pick off.
So can you kind of unpack, what does that mean, mother plants?
So we save these, we grow them out to large size, and then they start reproducing. They come out with trying to look. So this would be a fresh new flower stalk right here that's unfurling. And then it comes a little bit older here where you've got the actual flowers opening up. And then you start having the plantlets forming on them. And then as they continue on, the plantlets get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we're able to start harvesting them. So to harvest them, we just simply roll them back. They come right off, and you've even got roots already started on the bases of them.
See if I can zoom in on that. And you didn't seem to do much force at all to get that to come off.
No, if you have to force it, they're not ready to come off yet.
So it's like making fish on a stainless steel pan. If you have to force the flip, then it's not ready yet.
It's not ready yet.
Who had that on their bingo card that I was going to make a culinary reference in this video?
Behind me, we've got green ocelots.
I'm going to lift the camera because this is, again, 100 feet of mother plants. I mean, there's a lot of swords on this table. It is awesome. The scale is impressive. More mother pots.
More mother pots.
More mother pots. And there's a lot of them.
Echinodoris Altlandsberg. You got Echinodoris oriental. More green ocelot. And then ocelot at the far end.
So we've got microsword here, right?
We do, yeah.
And what I like about this one, to me, this is my, this is Gladiator walking through the fields when he just brushes his hand along. I have to fight the temptation to do that, which obviously I gave into it there. But I love seeing that carpeting effect. So cool. And then you really want to do it to giant hairgrass. You really just want to walk all up and down and just brush your hand along that. So now we're in Crypt land. So all the, I mean, primarily they're Wenti varieties, right? We've got Parva here.
They are, yeah. So we've got Parva, we've got Ludia and Undulata are different, but then we've got the Wenti Tropica, which we sell as bronze. We got the Wenti red, we got the Wenti green.
So this plant is one that we currently carry in a tissue culture, but we, have some struggles keeping it in stock. And it's also when we're talking tissue cultures, they tend to be more expensive, or they are more expensive. And here at Florida Aquatics, they actually have it. They're propagating it themselves. It's not a tissue culture, and so this is something that we're going to play around with and see if we can't bring it in a potted form, because this is an alternative or a very similar plant to Anubias or Bucephalandra, and that it's a rhizome plant, right?
Yeah, so this is Schismatoglottis pertori. Um, this is as big as it gets. Never seen it get any taller than this. But it's a nice clump forming. This is what we're using for uh, in-house propagation. You see how many different plants there are in one pot here. So we'll take that, separate them into individual plants, and then plant them out.
Can you show the roots coming out of that? Because I love,
Sure, yeah.
I love when you just get this root mass coming out of the rock wool.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're so hard to try and separate that you really need to get shears, but you can kind of make your way through there in time. And you can see all the different rhizomes in here.
And what you just did, like, that's not going to kill the plant. Like,
That's gonna, yeah, most of the plants gonna survive. I might have killed one or two there, but these little bitty rhizomes right here, that's all it takes to continue on. And we get a little water on it. There we go. It's a little better.
Yep.
And if you think of that one there, how many are in here? There's probably 30 or 40 different plants in this one pot.
Yeah, and I like the compact size. I like the dense growth, but yet keeping a nice compact, kind of like a low bush, if you will.
And what you have to remember here too, these leaves look on the bigger side, they're probably going to be half that in an aquarium. They won't have as much oxygen, available oxygen,
Right.
and carbon dioxide.
So now that we saw the greenhouses where the plants are being grown, this is what it looks like when they've been prepped for shipment. And we're not going to try to focus on who's getting those plants, but this is what they look like. They're sitting on the tray. They've been individually packaged in plastic. And now somebody might say, oh man, that is a lot of plastic. That's a lot of waste. I can attest firsthand that we experimented with shipping without having the individual plastic. And what ends up happening is that the plants get absolutely beat up in transit. So then you've wasted all of the greenhouse gases and emissions to fly the plants to you. You've wasted the manpower to package and to unpack them, only to have plants that didn't survive the trip. When you do individual packaging like this of each pot, it just dramatically increases the survivability of the plants, and they're going to ship just in perfect condition from here in Florida to wherever they're going. Before somebody buys them.
It is a necessary evil. Believe me, we'd love to get away from it, save us time and money. But like Randy said, it makes the plants arrive in good health where they're going, and we've got to do it.
Yep. Yeah, because if not a reship, you're then just spending all those emissions and all the material.
Right. Think of how much the FedEx truck or UPS, spends.
Yep. And so this room, Brandon?
So this is our packing house. So we've got people in here in the front part planting. We've got stuff ready to ship out. You can kind of see all the different stages happening here.
All right. So what is this greenhouse?
So this greenhouse, everything in here that we're growing is submerged. These are all individual units, different types of plants that we have in here. Looking at common name Wisteria, but Hygrophila deformis. And what's there, 12 or so tanks just of this one plant here. Each one's its own individual unit. We harvest out of one at a time, go through. It's kind of like mowing the lawn, but we clip the stems from the base. You can see the stems here from the base. Reach down in there, harvest it near the base, and you come up, and then for a regular bunch, we'd put together 5 of them and then put a nice piece of 10 around the bottom. We've transitioned over to 10 weights to get away from lead this year. This is a big change for us. Better for the environment, safer, and it keeps all the states happy. Nobody's disappointed by using lead.
So this basin is important in particular because we spent a good amount of time, Corey, Brandon, myself, talking about this. So currently, water wisteria, we sell the immersed grown form or growth form. So if we zoom in, let's see, where's some leaves at. So the more round leaves is typically what you're going to get from our water wisteria, but we're going to experiment with potting up the submerged growth version. So we're going to do some experiments and see how this does. A difference being when it's immersed, it's already in the pot, so the roots are going to be in the pot. This version, they're being harvested and you're going to lose those bottom roots. But towards the bottom, though, you still are going to get, like you can see those roots there. And typically, you know, you plant this and it's going to be successful. It's going to do well. But we're very used to having potted stem plants. We want to keep it that way, but we also want to offer the submerged plant. So you as a customer, you don't have to go through the conversion process. And so, you know, maybe in a couple months, we'll be offering this on our website of submerged water wisteria.
Have a nice color here.
Yeah, and this one is currently available on our website. Beautiful plant. Rotala, how do you pronounce it?
I call it hurrah. I don't know. Yeah. Not
Sometimes I say Atra.
yeah. That's not up to date on my Vietnamese, so I'm probably butchering it.
Yeah. That's another fun thing too is, you know, people that are working here, everybody kind of has their own way to pronounce something. And so I asked one of the gals that was potting up a crypt, I asked her, how does she say this W word? And the W word being Wenti, as I would say it. I think, I can't remember how she pronounced it, but it was different than how I would pronounce it. So, and again, like nobody's wrong, right? Because we all know what we're talking about, but everybody kind of has their own way to pronounce some of these plant names.
It is. It's always fun. It's fun to go to the trade shows and hear all the different pronunciations. I always like to try and meet the person that named it, and then you're pretty sure of the pronunciation at that point.
Have you been able to meet people that have actually done it?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And then you ask them, what were you thinking when you chose that name?
How do you pronounce your last name?
Exactly.
Okay. Pagosman? You want to do
the... So how did you pronounce it?
Pagosman.
So I would say Pogostemen.
Okay. So there we go.
Perfect
right timing. But this is one of the newer plants that we've added. Well, now it's messed up in my... But Pagosman stellatus, and this variety is Dasen that we got.
Oh, this is not octopus.
No, they're very similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just a sub variety of it.
So I feel like
cultivar.
I feel like 9.9 out of 10 people are gonna just think that this is stellatus octopus, right?
Yeah, it's got a slight more waviness to the margins of the leaves than the regular. Ever so slight. It's actually much more pronounced when it's grown immersed. You can see the waviness much better.
Nice. So for all of our Lord of the Rings fans, this is what reminds me of the what are they called? The Dead Marshes, where they had all from that one battle as they're making their way to Mordor, where they see the elves and the humans in the bog. This is what this reminds me of. But this is a beautiful plant, though. Beautiful color. Very, very fine leaves on it, like a feather. This is one that we might try to bring on and see how it does for us. But in these vaults, it's beautiful.
But yeah, you know, talking about the differences too. This is Rotala orange juice, but you can see the difference in the submerged versus the immersed growth. And then even this time of year, you'll get the flowers if you leave it immersed long enough. A little purple flower.
So what is happening? Why is the immersed growth right there where the water's coming in?
So in our tanks, always we start from the left here and work our way when we harvest. So that's the oldest area that's been here. And since you're getting some fresh water transfer under the pipe, they're getting a little bit more CO2 in that area. So they're growing just a little bit faster than everything around it. So that spot under the pipe is always the prettiest.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm not sure how many people have seen the video of the tourist that steps out of the boat thinking that she can step on a giant lily pad, but you can't. And this is it right here. Scientific name, sir?
This is Victoria amazonica. There's two different varieties we grow. We grow this one, which is the more tropical one, and we also grow the Victoria cruziana, which live on the farther ends of the temperature region, down farther south into Argentina. These guys are spiky. You never want to go up to them and just grab one. The undersides of the pads, see if I can get this one. up here so we can take a look at it. This is an old pad.
Oh my goodness, that is
But
Little Shop of Horrors right there.
it's really neat how thick the venation is, the structuring on these. Few greenhouses in England even use one to model their greenhouse, one of their glass houses that they have the tropical water lilies in. Um, really neat thing about the flowers too. This flower over here is covered in spikes, but it's going to open tonight for its first day, and you can see how white it is. So its first day, it's going to be bright white before it's wedding, and then tomorrow night it'll open again and it'll be bright red. So you can tell the difference between a first and second day flower just by the color.
Oh, interesting.
There's no pollen on the first day, only pollen on the second day.
Huh.
So you need a second day flower and a first day flower
Weird.
to achieve pollinization. In nature, it's done by a little beetle. Crawls inside on the first night it opens. You know, they smell kind of sweet like a pineapple a little bit. He'll crawl inside, bury himself down in there, and the flower closes up around him. He gets stuck in there all night or all day. And then second night it opens up and he crawls out. And when he crawls out, he gets covered with pollen.
Wow.
Then hops over to a new flower and does pollination.
What a crazy adaptation. That's wild. So we were talking about banana plants and banana plant availability, just seemingly fewer people collecting them from the wild, which they are a renewable resource, but just fewer people doing it. And this year kind of being one of the lower volume years for you guys on banana plant availability.
It was a tough year for us getting many, so we get just a handful left. They'll be gone in a heartbeat. Unique plant, wants to grow up, it has that nice storage unit of bananas to get it through the dry season. And then when it floods back up, it'll, well, not regerminate, but, its leaves will start to grow up to the surface and spread out. And it grows as the other nymphoides do, snowflakes on the surface. And then underneath each pad, as we start to get later in the season, towards the fall time, it forms the bananas. And then the bananas will drop to the bottom and complete the cycle for the next year.
And we were saying there's a couple things working against the banana plants right now. One is kind of man-made or man-induced lake management. So how we're managing the lakes, but then also hurricanes.
Hurricanes coming through the state, they're definitely destructive in the wild collected areas. Most of these are collected in Central and North Florida. But also the other big thing is people. People are moving in from everywhere, right? So now these lakes that were once out in the middle of nowhere where you could collect from are now people's backyards. You start to manage the lakes, try to kill the plants because they make it look ugly or whatever, or not allow you in there anymore because now it's owned privately.
Yeah. And so now we're outside. So they have completely uncovered grill areas and we have outside vaults. And one nice thing about our visit is, looking again at the Aponogetons, looking at the Crinums, and those are something that we haven't offered for a couple months, or I'm sorry, a couple years. And one of the reasons being that Florida, Fort Lauderdale to Seattle, sometimes there's direct flights, sometimes there's not. So transportation for these plants has been a little bit difficult for us. And we were just having issues with having the plants arrive in the condition that we need them to. So we stopped carrying them. But now that our warehouse is in Lexington, Kentucky, we are, more than halfway closer to Florida than we were with Washington. And so we're going to try to carry Aponogetons, Madagascar lace leaf, and Crinum calamastronum again. So I think that might be what we end the video with, showing you some of that.
Take a look.
And these are grown in outdoor vaults. What do you call them? Do you call them basins or vaults?
I call them tanks, but so these are concrete tanks. But right here you can see the Crinum calamastratum is the one variety that we do carry. These are what they look like when they're cleaned up, ready to sell. Got some nice roots, good solid bulb, nice green leaves, and the leaves will just grow to the height of the surface of your tank easily with a quick amount of time. And then it's kind of fun to put them near the current, wherever your current flow, because they undulate in the current, keeping a nice, it's attractive to the eye.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and this is an absolute favorite plant of ours and customers, and it's been a bummer that we haven't had it, but looking at the stock that he has and yeah. Oh, and this is actually, so this is them before they get dunked underwater. And so there's, one tuber per pod, and there's, I don't know, 1,000
Yeah,
easily.
there's a couple thousand in a tank. And unfortunately, they're not flowering. A lot of times this time of year, we can see some nice white flowers in there.
Nice. Another favorite thing of mine when coming to a fish farm or a plant farm is the spillways, the runways. And so let's see here. We've got Gambusia in here. Am I going to be able to catch a Gambusia on camera? Probably not, but there's some awesome little like micro schools of Gambusia fry that are just swimming through here. Oh, there's some, I don't know if they're showing up on camera, and you said there's also some mollies in here.
There are, yeah, especially if we go back closer to the retention pond.
So a whole bunch of Java moss bats in here.
Bright green, pretty, good size.
Yeah, looking great. Oh, where's the micro sword carpet? Yeah.
Yeah, the next one over.
So this is what I want to do for a 40 breeder. Oh, lizard. So this one, they're growing this micro sword out, completely carpeted in this tank, as you would call it. I'm gonna stick with the vault. So they're growing micro sword in here, and then they're just cutting mats to order. And so just imagining the exact dimensions of a 40 breeder, cutting the exact mat that you need and just plopping it straight in there. Well, obviously with a little bit of substrate underneath it, just seems like the absolute coolest thing to possibly do. And then you could throw in some cherry shrimp in there. That sounds like an awesome tank. That feels like lazy man's Iwagumi.
It's a cheat code.
Stick a rock on top and call it done, man. Coming to an aquarium co-op website near you. And Corey was asking you, is this, soil capped with sand? But you're saying it's just sand that these guys are growing.
Just sand, yep. So this is the Bovinianus.
Looking great. Beautiful.
Little babies.
Nice firm bulbs, growing well. Like, I don't know how all this is coming up, but looks really cool. All right. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for the tour of Florida Aquatic Nursery. I mean, we just barely scratched the surface of everything that you have.
Well, you'll have to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.